Hi, everybody. This is Virginia Milner coming to you for the DeKalb County Library, and I have what I'm hoping will be a super quick little bracelet that I want for us to make. I have all of these beautiful mother of pearl beads in all different shapes that I just have been kind of hoarding, and it's time for me to share with those of you who get kits. And so I thought we would make a really, what I think is a very pretty link bracelet. It's kind of delicate looking. Um, oh gosh, I found this link from Samantha. I cannot think of her last name, but I've done her links that she's used before and absolutely love them. And I like to credit her for them when I use her for inspiration. And this one's definitely her inspiration. But I wanted to do this link bracelet and I added beads to it as well. So I thought we would do this. It's very lightweight, very pretty, and it depends on what kind of beads you put on there. Mine are flat and triangle shaped. The kits will have all different shapes in them. Some are square, round, rectangle, a few of the diamonds. But they're so pretty. They're so luminescent, and I just could not use them. There's my double negative. And I'm putting some pearlesque glass pearl rounds, 4 millimeter, 3.5, I think it's 3.5 and or 4 millimeter pearlesque um, pearl beads. Are so small. I don't know if you can even catch that. But that's all we really need. You need beads of whatever type you like. The one that I have here again is flat and it's about 12 millimeters. It's a pretty decent size, about 3/8 of an inch long. Um, so you can use this really for whatever size, whatever shape. It doesn't have to be flat. It can be completely round. It can be whatever you like to make this and add this um, pretty link with it to make a really, really pretty bracelet. But I just wanted to do something that was kind of quick, that you can do in very little time, that's beautiful for any time of year. You'll need your beads of your choice. You'll need a couple of, actually only one jump ring. You'll need a lobster clasp and 22 gauge wire is what I'm using. You can also use 20 gauge wire if you choose. That's it, in addition to the tools, which are our round nose pliers. The barrels are round all the way around. They start larger at the hilt of your plier and get thinner near the tip. Then we have our square nose pliers, which are really, they're flat on the inside, but they're slightly rounded on the outside. But the flat part is what gives them the squared off shape enough that you can use that for different things that you couldn't use your round pliers for, and vice versa. Then you're going to need a pair of wire cutters, and that's what these are going to do, is cut your wire. You'll also need a ruler in order to measure your wire out. So let's go ahead and get down here to the mat and get started. Okay, the first thing that I'm going to do is make the link that we're going to make. So what I did was cut 3 inches of wire, and the length of wire depends on the size that you want these links to be. I wanted mine to end up being about 1/2 inch, and I'm adding a bead to it, so I wanted to make sure I had plenty. You can give yourself 3.5, maybe 4 in case, or just leave your wire intact. Those of you who get kits, don't cut the wire, and then that way you can you'll have less waste. Or go ahead and give yourself the 3 inches and then see how much is left, and then you can cut it down if you need to, or cut more if you want bigger links. But for my purposes, I needed about 3 inches. And then I'm going to go down about an inch from the tip, and I'm just eyeballing it. I'm going to go back here almost to the back of my pliers, and I'm going to fold both of my ends over the pliers and then cross them over nice and tight around my pliers. And then once I've got them crossed, I'm going to take the wire off and put it back on my pliers again down here where the wires are crossed. And I'm going to wrap the wires around again in a circle. Cross them over. And just give myself a little further over here. Give myself a little bit of a kind of a V shape down here. So just get them crossed over. And this depends on how long you want this to be. I think I'm going to open this short one up a little bit and use the long one to cross over because I want a little bit more of a elongated V shape. Down here, it's kind of an upside down. Well, it's actually a VV. But just cross that over till I have my little V. Just like that. Now, I've got a little bit of a glitch in there, and I'm going to use my square pliers to straighten out. Probably could have straightened with my fingers, but that's okay. Put that on. And there's my little V. This has got a little bit curvier than I want, so I am going to straighten that out. Use my square pliers to do that. Here we go. Cross that over. Like so. So that's what I have. And then I'm going to go down here where it's crossed. And I want to straighten this out until it's going straight up. Right now, it's kind of out to the side. So you can either use your fingers or your pliers and just put a little bit of a bend in it so that now it's going straight up from the center of my leg, straight up. Then I'm going to take my flat pliers and just hold on to it just above where it's crossing over and bend the short wire over to the side so that now I can wrap it around the long wire. And where you bend this little short wire depends on how long you want your little crossed over place to be. If you want it a little daintier, a little narrower, just scoot it over. If you want it squattier, you can even squeeze it in more, but it just depends on what you want. So now I'm going to hold on right below where my circle is, and I'm going to wrap that long wire around, or the short wire, excuse me, wrap the short wire around the long wire. And I only need to go around there 1.5 times. There we go. Let's snip off that little end. Get it as close as I can get to the wraps and just cut that right off. Then I'm going to push that little tip down against the long wire. You don't want that sticking up. You want it to be smoothed right down as much as you can. Then I'm going to add one of these lovely little pearlesque glass pearls. Isn't that pretty? Add that on there. And I'm going to wrap this closed. So the way I'm going to do that is to bend my wire. Now, I want this to link into my next little bead. So in order for it to do that, I want to bend my wire front and back. Here's the front of my wire. I call the flat part the front and the back. So I'm going to bend this up towards the front. Grab my round nose pliers, slide my wire down about a quarter of the way down my pliers, and it's really depends on the size of your pliers. They're not all the same size, but I don't need too big a loop, so I'm going about a quarter of the distance from the tip of my pliers. I'm going to wrap the wire around my pliers until it's parallel to the bead and the wire. Then I'm going to hold on to the bead and the wire, open my pliers up, and just reposition the pliers. You don't want the wire and the bead to move. Then I'm going to pull that wire under the loop, right there between the bead and the pliers until I have a loop. My loop is leaning a little bit over to the side, so I'm going to roll it over until it's right there over my bead, like so. Then I'm going to grab my pliers, hold on to what I call the face of the loop, and wrap that tail between the pliers and the bead 1.5 times, just to match up with the other side, and clip that tail off. And there is my beaded link. Push down that little tip. Oh, here we go. So now I'm going to show you how to wrap this bead. My alarm's about to go off and I don't want it to, so I'm going to have to change that time. There we go. Give myself a few more minutes. All right, so there's my little link. And now I'm going to show you how to make the bead, the large bead link. So what I'm going to do is grab another piece of wire. And for this, I need about 3 inches. Now give yourself 3.5 if you're more comfortable with that. And what you want to do is whatever size your beads are, measure the size of your bead. Mine is about 1/2 inch, and add another inch on each side. That'll accommodate the bead that you're going to put on there and your wrap that you're going to do. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, put my bead on. Actually, you don't have to put the bead on first. I'll take that off so you don't have to hold on to that while you're wrapping this end. I'm going to bend that wire over to the side about 1 inch from the tip. Slide my wire between my plier arms here, about 1/4 of the way down. Bring the short tail over the top and let it run parallel down the side where the long wire is. Reposition my pliers, bring that tail under the loop and out to the side until I have a nice loop there. Grab my square pliers and wrap that loop 1.5 times. Clip off that little tail. Push that little end down, that little tip. And now I will put my bead on. As you can see, this wire is much longer than 3 inches. Like I said, you can leave your wire intact and then you don't have to worry about so much waste. Works for me. Okay, so now I'm going to bend my wire over to the side. Actually, I did bend it to the side, Virginia side. There we go. Bend my wire to the side. Grab my pliers, my round nose, slide my wire about a quarter of the way from the tip of my pliers. Bring that tail over the top and running down the side of my bead. And then bring it over and out to the side to form my loop. Now, before I go any further, I need to hook this in to my wire loop. So I'm going to slide that tail inside the closed loop of my other link until it goes inside. Then grab my pliers again, hold on to the face of my loop, and wrap wire around 1.5 times, just like before, to close it up. Grab my cutters, clip off that tail, and push that little tip down. And there are my links. And you're just going to continue to do this until you have a bracelet. So now I'm going to attach that to the rest of my little bracelet. Now, what I did was add a bead on one side, just one side. And I did that because I thought it looked nice to have my beads close together here. I did that here and I did that here. So I wanted them to be close together, but I didn't want a bead. I didn't want them too close, but I wanted to have a bead on either side of the wire link, just because I love these little pearls so much. I just wanted something. I just wanted to keep showing them up. So now let's go ahead and link this together. So I'm going to slide the round side of my bead loop inside this link. And I'm going to have to open it up just a smidge to get that in there. Slide that in, let it drop inside, grab my pliers. And if you can't get your pliers in there, go ahead and use your round ones, but don't squeeze too tight because you don't want to put any little dents in your little loop. So just use whichever plier fits in here because this is a very small loop. And then wrap that tail around 1.5 times. That's a little theme. 1.5 times for each wrap. And then cut off that tail. Get rid of that excess. And push down the little tip. Good. And there, oh, isn't that pretty? So now all I need is to attach my lobster clasp. And the lobster clasp will go right directly into. Hi there. Okay, I'm almost finished. It'll go right directly into the end of your loop. So at this point, measure your wrist and see if you need another jump ring. You may. It's very possible. Yeah, I do need another jump ring. So I'm going to grab a jump ring, open it up, And I don't know if you can see this, but these are a little overlapping. Yes. Better view. Yeah, they're a little bit overlapped. I'll bring this down even closer. Like light, not a glare. Yeah, there we go. See how they're overlapped? I want to remove that overlapping. I want those little tips to meet, not overlap. They don't need to be bypassing each other. So I'm going to pull them apart just a tiny bit, a little bit at a time, until I can get them to meet instead of overlap. And just take your time. There we go. Just get them nice and even. There. Let's do this one too. Here's we'll do both of them. Here's my little tip. I just saw it. There it is. Here's my little tip. There we go. Nice. Now I need to reopen it now that I've got it settled and corrected and slide it inside one end of my open loop. Then I'm going to add my, let's try that again. Slide it inside the open loop, add my lobster clasp, slide that inside the open loop, and twist it closed again. And make sure those little tips are together. There we go. Nice. A little bit more. There. And then I'm going to put, I think I'm going to need a jump ring on the other side. Let me double check. I like mine to be a little snug. So, okay, let's add a jump ring on the other side. So reopen. And my jump ring. And twist it closed. And again, if you don't need a jump ring, you can just hook this right into the loop at the end of your bead. Here we go. And there's my little bracelet. Isn't that pretty? I absolutely love it. Quick, easy, wonderful for spring, just perfect for your a nice, light, summery piece of jewelry. Yeah. Okay, I'm looking at this and I said I added a bead here and I didn't. Virginia. Okay, I'm going to take that. No wonder I had so much to cut off. So I'm going to take that off and do it again. You don't have to add a bead, like I said. You really don't. It's entirely up to whatever your aesthetic is. But I do want to add another bead on the side just because I like the way it looks. I don't need a bead over here. I want a bead. I kind of do want a bead, but I added the beads on the side that the loop was on, the large loop on the wire link. I don't need a bead on the end. I really don't. But I think I will add one on here. It's not necessary, and it won't match the other side if I do, but I just want one because there is one on this side, even though it's going to end up on the opposite side. If I put it over here, I'm going to add it anyway. So I'm taking this off. So just to recap, you can add a back bead on this last one if this is your last loop, or if this is your last link may be one of these wire ones for all I know. But if this is your last link, you can add another bead, or you don't have to add another bead. If your last link is one of these wire ones, then the round circle is going to be backed up against this bead anyway, and you can add the beaded pearl, the pearlesque pearl, just so that you can continue to follow this pattern if this is the pattern that you use. But I just want another pearl on here. So I'm going to take this part and add one, even though it's not necessary. I want one, and I get what I want. And it only takes a couple of minutes to redo. So I'm going to bend this over to the side, about an inch from the end, just like I did before. Make my loop. Before I close, I'm going to go ahead and attach to the rest of my bracelet, just to have that part out of the way, and wrap. Just wrap that short tail around the long one, 1.5 times. Clip that little end off. And push down that little tip. I always check with my finger to see if I can feel the end. And I'm going to put my large bead on and put a small bead on just because I want to. And I'm going to see what it looks like before I close it off in case I don't like it. I do like it. I don't know. It doesn't have to be there, but I'm putting it there anyway. All right. Then my wire, grab my round nose pliers, and make my loop just like I've been doing all along. Let's roll that over a little more because it's not as centered as I would like. Have my square pliers, wrap it up. 1.5 times. There's enough of this left that I should be able to do something with it. That makes me very happy. Clip off that little tail as close as I can get to the bead. And push that little tip down. Squeeze it down. Here we go. Now I can either, I have to turn this around because that was supposed to go into my lobster clasp. Let's take that off, put it on the other side. Add my lobster clasp. And if I need a jump ring, I will add one. If I don't, I will not. And there it is. Ooh, yeah, I do like that other extra little bead on there. But there it is. And like I said, if you don't want to add a jump ring, you can just hook that right into the loop of the bead. And there's my little bracelet. Yay. So there's my bracelet. And I ended up putting two jump rings on here because it was just snug. And I thought this I usually like my bracelets very close, but this is so small that I decided it could use a little movement. So I did make a little bit of a jump ring chain back here. I just put a couple of jump rings on there just to give it a little more length. And you too can do that. But there it is. There's my little nice summer weight bracelet. Doesn't weigh anything. Very easy to make. Really cute. And I love it. I love mother of pearl. It's so pretty. It's just very luminous and just very, very pretty. So anyway, that is our piece for today. I hope it didn't take too long. I wanted to do something that was kind of quick and easy that you could kind of whip up in no time and just run on out to the beach if that's what how you're inspired for the summer and have something really pretty to wear. Again, you can use any beads for this. You do not need to use mother of pearl. You can use anything. That's it. I am finished talking your ears off. I hope you enjoyed this. And if you would like to get in touch with me, please feel free to do so. You can contact me at the Jewelry Gen email, the information of which is in the description on this tutorial. You can leave comments and pictures on the DeKalb County Library Facebook page, which is also listed down in the description, or you can leave comments right here on the YouTube page where you are watching this right now. Anyway, until next time, I hope you have a great week. It has been super hot here, and we've just had a little rain, and it's doable. So I hope that you're surviving whatever heat wave might be happening in your city, your state, your country, wherever you are. Please just take care, stay hydrated, and until next time.